Okay, so we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the show, Conversations with Karuna. And I'm here back again to be with all of you with yet another amazing personality. Today we have Raina Tandon. She's the founder of Right2rise, and she's a woman entrepreneur, been into the industry for several decades. Even though she doesn't look like that, but she spent a lot of years working in the space of various areas related to POSH and POSCO, and she's going to be talking to us about how to be fearless and productive in your workplace. So, welcome, Rena, to our session.
Thank you very much, Karuna, and thank you very much, Conversations with Karuna and the entire team. It's quite a pleasure to be here with you on this show. Thank you.
And we look forward to an amazing conversation here. So, guys, do keep writing your comments and questions, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you during this chat as well. So
Absolutely.
let's come to Rena. Rena, let's know more about you. So, would you like to share with us where are you from? What's been your career graph like? And I'm sure the audience is curious to know more about you.
Absolutely. Let's bring it on. So, a little bit about myself, getting a little closer because you are asking me. So, I'm trying to bring the camera also closer.
Awesome.
So, Raina Khatri Tandon, I think, has been a name that has evolved over time, from being just a simple girl to getting to the stage now and hitting even the United Nations or being an alumni of EDX Harvard. I have transitioned to my life from being an engineer to going down and being a trainer, coach, mentor, and now an international speaker and a founder to my organization, which is Right to Rise, India's first and only ISO certified 21001 17024 POSH-POCSO and stress compliance solution provider. Why it is different from the others is because it provides ethical solutions with the strategies of a heart. And when we talk about productive workplaces, we talk about fearless environments, and that is why we are here today. Now, how did the journey begin is a big story, but yes, an evolution from being an engineer, going ahead and pondering over life, certain situations that have occurred, and that is what makes you feel that you want to do much more a purposeful life to others rather than just being a 9 to 5 person, or probably just focusing on your development, thinking beyond and trying to help the other people get more into the leadership role. And now I would say inclusive leadership role, where you are looking beyond just you, but a set of people who are around you.
Absolutely. Such an interesting journey from being an engineer to being someone who's coaching people, training people, and making them feel fearless. So
Yep.
tell us more about, as you evolved, possibly you were in a job initially and then you chose to get into doing your own business. What
Yes.
were certain milestones that you had in your life? Shifting from a
I
job to
have
business.
very interesting milestones, Karuna. You will be shocked. So, I am basically a North Indian born and brought up in South India. That itself makes it a very evolving thing because people always say, how do you speak so many languages? So, I am a polyglot who speaks about 10 languages and more.
Wow.
And that's not maybe because I intentionally meant to get into it, but maybe it was a liking that I had because I have traveled across the globe. So there are a lot of cities in India itself that I have moved on. So I have born and brought up in Chennai, and then I got married in Mumbai, and I have traveled doing my PhDs and masters at UK, and after that probably working in different zones of Europe. Also, after marriage, working at Finland and staying at Finland with my extended family for 8 years there, and well across in Europe again due to some kind of work in and across. So, the language is something that connects people, and I love to learn the language to connect my masses to me, for them to understand me, and I to understand what they are all about. The transition happened when, like a normal girl, I think you and me know that we do our 10th, and then you have this position where you want to understand what do I do in 12th. So my dad comes up to me and asks me, what do you really want to do? And I said, I want to be an engineer. And we come from a business oriented family where everybody is doing business. There's this one girl who just gets up out of the blue one of the day and says, I want to do, you know, a job, and I want to get into a 9 to 5 thing. And that's a weird thing for a family, especially when the girl has never stepped out of the house, an introvert family, trying to a very classic traditional family who takes care of all their kids, but never stepped out alone, probably in a flight or a train, or but wanting to go all across borders to do her masters. That too in something which is weird, never heard of, VLSI, chip design engineering, which is hardcore IT, a lot of designing of circuits of your devices. So did that, explored the world, got to meet a lot of people. You get to understand the different new technology that you're prone to, the AI, the robotics, the embedded systems and all. Um, Worked with a lot of tech giant companies over there. A few to mention is NatWest, IBM, Barclays, and some more. But there was something, even after doing a lot of counseling certifications, a lot of hardcore IT solutions, being a master's and beyond, going ahead at Edinburgh, doing the research and everything, there was something that was always brimming inside me is you're quite educated, quite knowledgeable, having the skill set and competencies, but still there is something that urges you to say that's not good enough. What can you do more, or what can I do to give that satisfaction within yourself that you are going ahead and touching people's life. Now, I didn't know exactly at that time what is that touching life mean, or what is getting into a niche or getting into a freelancing mean. But there were situations in my life that occurred post that, when I was abroad, where I have lost my elders. And even though they left, coming on their premier tree, or on their fourth day or fifth day of their passing away, there were people who had sent lovely messages, or even traveled down for giving their last uh, heartfelt condolences on their rights. That made me think a lot. Okay, okay, what is that they would have done to touch these lives, and why are they so uniquely being perceived by people? So there is some kind of a leader that has been there always to hear them, to be there for them, be empathetic towards them, support them, and kind of create this kind of together support. Okay, even though you are there on the top and people look up to you only for two things. If you are able to add value in their lives, and if you are an influencer in some way that people are following you, that is it. So that made me think, what is that I would leave a legacy behind for? So that's when, I took some time and thoughtfully got into this training world after a few years, and then into coaching, into breakthrough coaching. And finally, one of the days, again, another breakthrough moment where, doing a POSH training changed my entire perspective about training, coaching, leading people. That's where I want to bring in a Maxwell's quote, which says that, leaders are built, and it's important for you to understand that leaders are not built in one day. Okay, you need to keep working on them. You need to, it's not about, leaders must be close enough to relate to others, but far enough ahead to motivate them. You don't have to be behind them, you don't have to be always leading them. Ideas are always there. They are shorter shelf life. You must act on them before the expiration date, is what he says. So the idea already came in, but if I did not hit on it at that time, then it would have actually gone away from it. So I think this situation comes in many lives where, either you get inspired or you get demotivated. But probably that drove me so much that, what can you do, Rena, to be a person that somebody looks back and says, yes, this lady did something which was very exclusive, and that's why I am successful today. Okay.
So,
So
how did you come to that decision that this is the thing for me?
yeah, so with Posh, there I had two mentors who did realize that I was meant for it. And so this situation happened that once I started doing this POSH training, And as I was doing this POSH training, I think after I finished, there was somebody who just came up to me and said that, this situation happened with me, but I haven't got the courage to speak up. Can you help? So, welcome, Deepak ji. That's great to see you as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you, Deepak, for that lovely
so,
comment.
when somebody
Hi,
actually
Gokul.
comes up to you, hi Gokul Krishna sir, when somebody comes up to you and says that you can resonate with their talk, you can resonate with the thoughts. I actually spoke about how unknowingly or without an intention you come across a situation where somebody who's very dear to you comes and does something to you and you feel that it's affected you. Okay, and this could be an unwanted touch, an unwanted feeling. It's a casual touch, it's a casual feeling, but the person did not realize that he had crossed his line of reference. So it happened time and again, and that's where this person was so totally bogged down at his workplace that he had the fear that every time he's doing something, this person might just turn up because it was a superior to this person.
Get
And
that. Yeah.
she could not actually speak up ever till she came across the POSH awareness session that I did for her. And she said, I tried a lot to speak to my family, I tried a lot to speak to my husband, I tried a lot to speak to my co associates, but I couldn't. But you were the first person who I could feel that, I can open my heart to and tell. So, can you help? So, that was the first instance when I felt, okay, yeah, this is the niche. The second time I probably did that was when I was across a student at Thakur Engineering College, which is at Kandivali West. And I would want to take that name because we had done a session for about 350 students there in an auditorium. And what happens with trainers and coaches is that they get so carried away with the aura and the preference of being on stage that they're always standing on stage and talking. Okay, we like to be leaders who can speak from there, and it gives us a lot of power. But with this training, when I was what differently was is that I got into the crowd and I was asking them about how they feel, what are their what do statistics say, do have they ever seen these situations. And one of those boys actually related because he was I think 16, 17-year-old boy. And he came up and he said that, ma'am, I'm undergoing this abuse. Not from now, from 3 months. From a girl who's not
Oh,
very old. And this boy is not able to. I said, why did you not tell your HOD or your parent or even your mother or father? So the first thing he said, अगर मैं HOD को बोलता तो HOD मुझे डांटती because generally boys are responsible for everything that happens. माँ बाप को बोलता तो आई एम नॉट फ्रॉम अ वेरी वेल टू डू फैमिली, मैं बहुत ही गरीब परिवार से हूँ, तो माँ डांटती, पापा चिल्लाते और दोनों बोलते शायद तुमने ही कुछ किया होगा. And if I go to the principal, probably the principal would say that he would rusticate me or remove me from the college, thinking that I have initiated it, and that is why the girl is getting too close with me. So it's very interesting to see that we still have these kind of judgmental, biased approach in our society, and that itself gave me a reiteration that if people are seeking my uh, advice over this, then I have to be the right person to equip my knowledge and expertise to probably guide them there. I cannot
yeah.
just it's so POSH is a law. You cannot probably go and talk anything
Yeah.
that you feel as a perspective. You need to bring out the right thing.
And that
So that's
situation in some
yes,
way also impacts that person, their lives overall. And
absolutely
mental peace, all of the emotional wellness, all of those things get impacted at the end of the day. Those
very true,
instances that might have happened. So
very true,
and it's
Karuna.
not about one specific gender. It could be with either of the genders that, or whatever, So anybody could be going through that experience. So I think
Absolutely,
very impressive, Rena, I must say, and thank you so much for sharing this story of what got you to what you're doing right now. And I'm sure that makes you extremely passionate about it because you saw that people's lives were changing because of
yeah,
this. So thank you so
indeed.
much for sharing that. So tell me
That's
more
totally
about
a pleasure.
yeah, tell me more about when we talk about being fearless and productive at workplace, what are those thoughts that come to you? What are those areas that we should talk about to the audience? And thank you, Udit. Thank you know we're looking forward to your comments and quality conversations with you as well. So yeah, Rena, please go ahead.
So, first of all, thank you so many. I can see a lot of pop-ups, and I must say your audience is really, really interactive.
Yes.
So, being a productive workforce, how I see it is in a workforce, first of all, we need to have this, we use this word inclusion and diversity very, very, very commonly. For you to be inclusive, first of all, it has to be a top down approach. I say even if a person today, if I join a company and I start a revelation that we need to form this kind of policies, or we should have a very clear communication, a two-way communication, a very communicative, creative discussion where there are ideas that are being brought down. Okay, if we have some kind of an initiation like that, not everybody would follow because you are a new person there. But at the same time, if you have somebody on the top level, it could be a manager, it could be a leader, it could be somebody who's there on the top and he initiates this. So it's a culture that's driven by the person who is there on the top to everybody who forms a team. So the biggest challenge is growing. The growth can be linear and can be horizontal, but it has to happen. Next, to differentiate, you need to innovate. When we are innovating, there are ideas coming in. So, when we are talking about a fearless environment, we have to welcome all people to give in the ideas. At least there should be three elements, and that's LET, let, listen, empathy. Together, we can be appreciated. Okay, I call it let because it's easier to let that person in. At least you're including him in. Because fear, why do we have fear? We have fear because we're not being heard, we're not being listened, we're not being spoken, we've not been welcomed with ideas, we've not even been able to present something that's coming up to our mind. Let me tell you, this is a statistics and from a company which is abroad, and I got these statistics from the HBR, also with the same statistics matching with Simon Sinek, where he spoke on one of his talks. What's good in one workplace, what was different from the other workplace. For example, you have Marriott group of hotels. Okay, they are one of the best group of hotels that you see in many of the workplaces. Now, once I was having coffee at one of their coffee shops, and I got to ask this cleaner, what do you like about this workplace that you work? He said everything. And I said, really, you like everything over here? He said, yes, I like everything because every person passing by here at least smiles and asks me how's my day. Okay,
Wow.
and I said interesting. Okay, and he said, but ma'am, do you know I also work for another chain of Marriott, and I just wait that the entire day over there passes by. I
Mhm.
don't like working there, I just work there to get this paycheck.
Wow.
And I said, why so? Because that's Marriott, this Marriott too. He said, because there the culture is that everybody who's working there just comes and asks me, did I finish my duties? They don't ask me how I am or how am I feeling or
Yeah.
what is that I feel, but they're always asking me about. They are not questioning me. They're not creating this. I'm always in fear that have I done my work well? Okay. So productivity is key to recovering the anxious burnout that is there inside you. If you want to be productive, if you want to be a wellness in workplace, a WW, a wellness in workplace, 60% of the CHROs, CEOs, COOs have to plan to increase their mental well-being of their people. And how does mental well-being of the people have to be improved? Is you need to probably engage them by welcoming their ideas, talking to them, protecting them about whatever fears they have, planning to change, giving them reward strategies, compensation is just one aspect of it. But if you are able to prioritize by understanding what is that they feel unproductive about, what is the burnout causing in, why are they not able to produce result, how do you measure their business performance. Business performance is not only with numbers that you get from the top. The
Yeah.
metrics are with all the people who are working from the top down approach. Okay,
True.
because the top person would just guide the people on the managerial level that you need to get this work done. But at the end of the day, it's all the people below that that works properly. Only then
Yeah.
the organizational culture moves. Yeah.
And I'm actually tempted to bring in a quotation by Maya
Yes.
Angelou here, exactly to what you said, where she talked about, and this is like ingrained in me because I follow that as a principle in my life, where she talks about that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Feel. True. Very true.
So as a
It's
leader, I think that's the principle personally I follow, and I feel that has so much of value. And what you were saying, Rena, it just kind of complements it, because the example that you took of this person, that's how people were making him feel, and he enjoyed in one place and he did not enjoy in the other place. And
absolutely
yeah, and that's what leaders also need to do in organizations at that top level.
so true and very well put. I think it's not about always telling them what to do. It's also about sometimes you don't have to say anything. You just get the way forward, because a leader is one we say who knows the way, goes the way. But nowadays in pandemic, I feel that the leaders even don't know which way to go. It's just showing the way based on what's coming to you as life. So a good leader takes a little more than just showing the way or leading the way. He just needs to be probably silent and watch. Okay, and sometimes the way is shown to him by the people who are there who follow him, because even they inspire. Okay, the
Absolutely.
first
Yes.
responsibility of a leader is to define the reality of today, to understand that today is not the same as tomorrow or yesterday. So
Amazing. Thank
that's
you, Shivani, for this lovely comment. I think people are loving the comment concept of LET. So just let, and I think as a leader, you'll have a great workplace to be created as well. So Ismail, thank you so much. I think these are lovely comments for Rena. Thank you so much, Rena. You
thank you,
added
viewers. Thank you so much.
lovely value to the conversation. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk a little more about, you shared about LET, which is listen, empathy, and also being together. And, together we can appreciate each other and, create that community or feeling of group. And I think that goes a very long way. Um, in today's time, specifically in pandemic, is when we are realizing that we as human beings just absolutely love being around people. And we are all team players. We are a
Yeah,
social animal, and we would like to be with people and would like to connect personally. And that that happiness we used to have when you used to go to work, meet, or go out and meet your families also, that conversation, that connection is so different. And as a leader, I think a leader in organizations or any other places should leverage on this.
absolutely.
Okay,
I think
thank you
it's
so
just
much.
leadership is only about influence, nothing
Yes.
more, nothing less. It's only about how you can convince a person about whatever action he takes is right, or the person only follow others because they have confidence in that person, and they don't make any complaints, they don't make any excuses, they ownership their responsibility. Okay, you are a person who takes the ownership for your growth. If you are not growing, then there's something wrong that we are doing. If you are growing, then obviously there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of confidence that you're building in yourself and others. So there's
Indeed.
no lessons to give in leadership. I think leadership is all about not about titles, not about position, not about anything else, but just influencing people and what you can give to others. It's always value given, always about people.
Thank you so much, Rena, for sharing that. And thank you, Udit. I'm glad we're adding a lot of value to your learnings, and do keep in touch on this channel.
Thank you
Feel
so
free to
much.
keep
Thank you.
asking questions also. So then a more question for you. Another thought that comes to my mind. This is what we're talking from a leader's aspect. When it comes to an individual, all of us are leaders in our own way, no doubt about that. But from an organizational perspective, if I ask you, we're talking about a concept of showcasing fearlessness and productivity at
Yeah.
workplace. So what could be some things that someone can do when it comes to specifically being fearless at workplace?
So, speak up is one important thing. Now,
Hmm.
to be fearless in a workplace, you need to feel good about what you do.
Hmm.
Okay. So, working on fearless, ensure that the people who you are joining are well qualified and you look up to them for certain qualities, and that is why you're joining them. Okay. We all join organizations for, I have seen a lot of people joining organizations for titles, for money, for pay. Yes, that is one of the outcomes that people join. So when um, I have seen a lot of companies taking some HR interviews, and fortunately, because I'm a POSH leader, or I work into inclusion and diversity, we are doing more into prevention of sexual harassment act. Sometimes there are issues which come based on code of conduct and not on POSH. And now that we are doing auditing, so Right2rise is the only organization which is working into essential ISO certified POSH audits. In fact, we've just started with our first program, which is going to launch open workshop on 7th. So anybody who wants to become a POSH auditor can always come up to us. When we are doing audits of organizations, we come to know uh, that certain framework has not been followed. For example, reports have not been submitted. For example, when there are inquiries happening, it's not been done because people did not appear for certain meetings. Now, why did they not appear? Is because there is no openness in the committee, or there is no the nature or the nomenclature of every committee has to be allowing people to be heard and to be spoken. Why we have fear is because we don't ensure that properly in our system, and there are people who are not qualified who are probably sitting on the job. Why do people look up to you? Is because you have certain skills that you're always building up. So in order to have a fearless environment on workplace, you need to keep upskilling yourself to show that you are properly qualified for that job. Keep trying to improve your skills every day, not only your skills but your competencies and your communication. Communication is the key for people to stay fearless. I can
Absolutely.
always say complete this work, but if I say would you be able to complete this work on time, I am asking or seeking permission that would you be able to do it, though I want them to probably do it. Yes, but if you really want a person to do it, you would probably give him that space to check, do I have that capability, time and space, or do I have the bandwidth to complete that in time? I am allowing the person to retrospect into himself and see whether I can do it. Do I have the capability? And when I get that surety, yes, I will be able to do it. So that builds confidence. Now, when I have that confidence, then I have built everything. Because based on the confidence, we build structures. When there is no confidence, you can't build a palace. You are here
Yeah,
to build
people are
one
also
brick at a time.
scared. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the fact that people could also be scared because they are not confident about their own self, or they don't have a very high level of self image?
Yes,
They don't feel that I can do this. Sometimes I come across people who need that push, that empowerment. As rightly mentioned by Shivani, leadership is all about giving and empowering people. It's sometimes also about I'm not feeling. The person
good
is
about what?
feeling.
Yes.
Yes, they're not confident about their own self, even if the task is very simple.
Yeah, so I'll give you a very good example on that. So I said leadership is not always about leading in the front. A lot of leaders feel that when we are leading teams or when we are leading companies, then probably we need to be there for all roles, or we need to always supervise things. But even for a small thing, for example, you're conducting an activity. I think If you can motivate your next level and say, look, I know I need to be there, but I totally trust you, go ahead and do it. And if you're not able to do it, I am there to hold you if you falter or drop.
Mm.
So that confidence has to only come from you, even though you are not sure whether he'll be able to do it or not. You need to build the first level of trust, right?
Mm.
The second level is to motivate the person that, okay, let's look at whether you have these leadership traits and let's look at whether the principles are working. So now there is a training that you would probably be working on the first level, where you are looking at different parts of your hand, because your hand is not the same all the time. You have 5 different fingers. Now, if I have to think
Absolutely.
which finger I do always fit my ring, it's the third finger. But if I really want to put a ring onto my lower finger or the small finger, I can't be finicky by just everybody puts it in the third finger, so I also need to do the same. No. I need to try something else as well. But to try something else, I have to try out of box. I have to give this person an out of box role and say, go ahead, I'm there behind. Without showing that you are present there all the time, trying to approve that you are a leader. So, yes,
Interesting.
there,
Yeah.
there is nothing like every time things work. All leaders fail. They fail maybe 10 times, 10, 12 times, 13 times. And like Mr. Bakshi is saying, that's leadership, I say, is surely inspiring, influential, trust, transparency. Okay, so I don't use the word trust too much, is because if you don't believe in trust, you should not be using the word trust. Because a lot of people say, oh, I trust you, Karuna. Yes. But do they really trust you?
But
Is
you have
the
to
next thing.
walk the talk. That's the thing.
Exactly. So not many people walk the
Yeah.
thought. Even in as we are talking as leaders, also as we talk as posh inclusive leaders, we need to understand, even when we say inclusive environment, are we bias free? Don't we have judgments about people? I would just put a question that before coming on to the live, you and me have just met probably few minutes, right? But
Yeah.
we do have some perceptions about each other, right? But maybe the perceptions change when we talk, when we get to know the
Yes.
person, and maybe it's different when we start to work with the person.
So true.
So
So
why
true.
stick with that biased, judgmental analysis of a person that gets us into this fear that, oh my God, it's probably not going to be the best, right?
Yeah, very interesting thought process, very interesting perspective to look at. So coming back to DK Bakshiji, thank you so much for your comment. I think Rena, he has a question for you, which I'll just put up.
Yeah.
So it says, if three T's and three I's are not there in leadership, it is not leadership, it is dictatorship. My question is to you, Rena, how do you see this going deeper into DNAs of their life? How does it really happen? And I think three T's were trust, transparency, and togetherness, and three I's were influencing, inspiring, and integrity.
Okay, so
So
if
how?
three T's
Yeah.
and three I's, so three T's are important and so are three I's. I'm not saying that they are
Yes,
not there, but I'm just saying I don't use the word trust too much. I always
absolutely.
talk about influence because trust is a very superficial word for some people. You need these core values. You need integrity, you need values, you need ethics, you need trust, you need transparency, you need openness. That are some of the major core values. Respect. Our core values have integrity, respect, a lot to do with justice, a lot to do with trust. But when we are saying those words, then, like you said, we walk the talk. How do we go deeper into the DNAs of life? Of course, they are our core values. Without our core, without our essence, we can never build the DNAs of our life or our organization. And how does it really happen? Doesn't happen at all, Bakshi sir. They are core values, but I'm saying that real
I think
leadership
you
is
have
being
to
the
take
person
action.
inside.
Yeah, you have to
Otherwise,
action
gladly
them
and
out there.
confidently, people
Yeah.
will not be able to follow you. The
Yeah.
secret of success is determined by small, small things that you do on a daily basis. Okay, it's not a quick trip to a life journey, it's not a quick trip to a destination. Um, Leadership is all about seeing the possibilities, the situation, and then also understanding certain limitations that people have. Okay, when we are walking the talk, when we are taking this journey, when we are growing out our DNAs of an organization, every time we need to innovate, innovate, innovate. And innovation doesn't happen one way, is my thing. A secret to success is always about bringing change every moment. Okay, so if this didn't work, why would it did not work? And then probably getting the answers about what did not allow you to make this happen. Of course, you faltered. Of course, it didn't go well. Of course, your principles or my principles didn't work on you. How do we make
Yeah.
it better? Now, if
Yeah.
I say you need to do this way, maybe the person may not accept. But if I say, how could we do it better? At least I'm getting into the mode of hearing the person, listening to the person, being resilient to the person, and the person is in a mode to hear you and probably work on a process that mutually comes down to a bridge. And that's called inclusive leadership. That's called empathetic leadership. That's called building the trust and all your three T's and three I's, which we are looking at.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And thank you, Bakshiji, for your lovely questions. And I'm sure the conversation is becoming more qualitative with these questions that you're bringing in. So thank you so much for that. Rena, I'll add a little more to what you just mentioned, from my own experience of being an
Please.
HR leader and now a coach.
Yes.
I also feel that for leaders, it's more like it's actually in a different way. I'm putting it in a different language. It's more about living those values and becoming those values.
Yes.
That's the essence when it comes to going deeper in the DNAs of life and being there. It's all about living your life based on these aspects and all aspects of your life. And then it's not just about professional life, it's also about personal life. Anything that you're doing in your life, those values hold true. People might say that, okay, switch off your personal life or professional life, and I personally don't believe that. I believe that same person is moving around. It is just that you might wear different hats, but you as a person carry the same values. So we do believe,
Yeah.
I do personally believe that is more like living in those values and being those values yourself, and that kind of
Perfect.
shifts. So,
Thank you for that cherry on the top.
yes, lovely conversations going on here, and I'm just loving it. So many comments coming, so many value add thoughts coming, by our viewers as well, and of course, Rena, you're adding such amazing content to the
Thank you
conversation
so
that
much.
I also feel that when whether it is an individual or whether it is a team leader or a leader at the top in an organization, one also needs to be mindful of certain aspects, mindful of that. Okay, how will my employees react? For example, you talked about that. Okay, if things didn't work, look at what to bring in new. What are those, let's say if the changes are happening, working towards it. And that quality as a leader of being reflective, that quality of a leader of being mindful helps a lot. So what is your view on that?
So, I'll tell you a little story. I think now we are not on workspaces that we see people each other too often because we are working from home. But a mindful leader is one who senses what's going on inside a person without he even saying. Okay. Very few companies inculcate a short mindfulness exercise break in between their daily schedule. Okay, but I have gone to two companies. I'm not probably going to take their names. They have a schedule after every 1 hour for 5 minutes to do short mindfulness exercises. They have a deliberate break, a bell goes, and they have to do this mindfulness exercise on the table, closing their eyes. They have some exercises that have been given to them. Okay, that's one. Next, they have, obviously some of them have gyms and exercise units also at their workplace. Mandatory staff regulatory breaks, which are given to them after every 3 hours. Now, that is also something that people introducing maybe a journaling technique or a gratitude note which can come back to your manager after a week. Now, these are things that people take the pains of probably getting their organization to do that when the organization is really small, maybe 50 to 100. But some of them came back to me and saying, ma'am, if we have something like 5,000 employees, it's totally difficult for us to do that. Now, I can tell you only one thing. If you're a manager, if you're a leader, if you are speaking to somebody on a call or you are facing somebody face to face, you can sense stress. All you can just be mindful of is say, okay, look, I didn't see the project deadline report being submitted. Okay, I see that you have not completed your task. I see that there is a lot of things that's incomplete. I see that you are not able to meet your project deadlines, or you have not completed certain roles that have been assigned to you. Can we just have a casual chat and maybe take a 2 minute to discuss what's that troubling him or her? Because maybe that casual chat has never happened at home or with somebody he wishes to have, and you can be that little friend for about 2 moments. And now that is what I call mindfulness. It's not about getting into a yoga state, it's not about getting to a breathfulness state, it's not about taking the breath intake all the time. Yes, those are important. I'm not saying they are not, but if you can sense somebody and his silence that there is a lot of fear, a lot of hatred, a lot of depression, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of relationship issues, whatever. You don't need to get too personal into a person's life, but you need to at least give him some space to talk and feel that I'm there for you. Now, how you do it is all your stake, and you don't need to do it with everybody. If I have 7,000 employees, I don't do it with anybody or everybody. But if you see somebody who's in pain, including aapka guard, I don't think giving a smile takes more than a second, or probably asking him, good morning, aap kaise kar rahe ho, ya sab theek hai ghar pe, ya family is good and things are safe. Now that you're online, yes, I think switching on the camera might help, but if a person is not switching on the camera constantly, then there could be certain reasons why is he not doing that. Maybe talking on a casual call to people when you're not actually working on meetings on and off. And managers are doing all those tasks. Let me tell you, a lot of managers are doing a lot of mindful activities. This will help your workplace to become a better and the best productive spaces. And I've seen a best of leaders doing that. They disengage from work and they are consciously working on improving the social relationships professionally, enhancing the task performance of many of their people. Okay, so that should be one. Also, giving them mindful reminders or probably doing some kind of research which allows their mind to get into something productive. Maybe coming back to getting more ideas how, even if you know the answers, okay, even if you know the answers to a project deadline or a project report, some easy ways of talking to them is getting them engaged in a discussion, asking them what do you really think about it. Can you give me your views, give me your ideas, get me your list of suggestions. And people like that they are being welcomed into these kind of productive uh, exercises. Could be even engaging a online activity for your team. You might know what exercise, what game, what activities to do, and you might be a great person. But engaging a person who's never done that and allowing his idea to be incorporated is, it's going to be miracles, because he feel good about it, that you have appreciated and welcomed it. So that's what I call being mindful. Of course,
Interesting. And I
there's a
think
very different definition to that.
that's a practical way of being mindful, no doubt. And of course, all the other tools and techniques surely add value. But in other ways to put it across, uh, you know, uh, you need to be, treating others as human beings by being human.
Oh, yes,
That,
that's the biggest tagline, being human first. So try
yeah.
to be there
So
first. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where we as human beings are insightful, are intuitive, are connected. If we are in a balanced space, we are all ourselves connected to our core. So if we are staying in that core, I think mindfulness is no extra effort one has to make. We are, as human beings, spiritual enough to understand
And it's
whatever.
okay. I think one more thing, Karuna, I would say is start becoming flexible and adaptable. Okay, people don't like difficult leaders. People don't like fixable or fixated leaders because
Fixated.
everybody's challenges are very huge today, and everybody is going through a hell a lot of struggle. So if you are going to be a little lenient, a little flexible, little adaptable there to systems, processes, I know they have to be in a certain way for you to meet goals, targets, numbers. But unfortunately, this is not the time for it.
So, Rehna, I have a question for you. You are so knowledgeable. Where do you get all
Okay.
of this knowledge from?
I read. I read a lot. I have started developing that habit since some time. Not that I was a voracious reader when I was young, but I have consciously developed that over time. And yes, I am always a learner for life. I have very good mentors who also lead me, and everybody and anybody who's out there who I can learn, I'm always open. So I would share 6 S's of my life as an inclusive leader. The signature traits of an inclusive leader. 6 signature traits. You should be a curious person, always curious, diligent to try and wanting to grow and wanting to learn everything. Then, culturally gender sensitive, culturally intelligent, deal with people differently when they have a different culture to carry. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with religion, caste, creed, race, and from where you are, but being culture sensitive of different parts of the globe. Next, collaboration and adaptability. Um, think diverse, that not everything is very focused on only your business. I think it's beyond that. It's all about people again. Commitment, whatever you do, give it 100%. Okay, so if I am taking up something, I would probably give 100%, else I don't even take it up. So, commitment, collaboration, and adaptability, being culture sensitive, culture gender sensitive, intelligent, curious, having the cognizance of the present state. A leader always is cognizant about what's happening now in the reality. And 6, be courageous and take action, because without courage, without risk, you cannot lead anywhere. Okay, you'll be thinking, pondering, but that leads you nowhere but procrastination. So take action. I'm sure you will be innovating every time and you will reach your success.
Interesting, very interesting. I absolutely love what you just talked about. That
Thank
one
you so
needs to
much.
be curious, culturally intelligent, collaborative, committed, cognizant of the present moment, and be courageous to take those actions that one needs to. I think that just sums up a beautiful thought that, as an inclusive leader, if we follow these values, I think it can just shift uh, the workplace that you are in, the culture that we are trying to build in the organization. So tell me more. You brought up the fact that you have some mentors in life as well. What do you think is is it necessary to have mentors, and also, um, you know, uh, what is the value add that a mentor does?
So, mentor can be anybody. It's not like a mentor has to be somebody who's old and somebody who's there who's always teaching you. So I have mentors for different things, in the sense that I have a mentor for financial aspects. I have a mentor who is there for the knowledge expertise. I have my child who's a critic. He's my mentor as well. I have my husband who's always uh, telling me what's right and wrong. I have 2 mentors who are working on my fitness as well. So it's not that you really need a mentor if you are highly motivated and on the right track with a niche in your pocket, and you know what you need, or where your leading is progressive, it's growing, then you really don't need a mentor. It's not like अगर आप एग्जाम देते हो तो आप सक्सेसफुल हो जाते हो, राइट? अगर आप एग्जाम देते हो, वो एक फाउंडेशन होता है कि आपने ये पड़ाव पार कर लिया है, ना कि आप उतना इंटेलिजेंट हो. So I am, if you are 96 degrees, 96% in your boards, does it say that today you are an IIT person or an IIM person? Or if you are an IIT person, does it say that you are earning a six-figure salary? So it's not like that, that if you have a mentor, but a mentor basically guides you when you're lost, is what I know. And as much as you choose your mentor has to choose you, because he knows that he can guide you on the life journey that you're at. And you know and trust that you can be guided by him. So it's a mutual choice. It's not one way again, um, always two way. I always feel that mentorship is a choice, cannot be something that you say that I will do it or will take it. But if you like it and if you feel that there is somebody you need to be a fearless leader and to be a more powerful person, and somewhere you are lost in your journey, then you probably go and ask for a mentor. And finding a mentor is another. So a lot of people ask me, how do you find your mentor? Like I said, as much as you are finding your mentor will find you. Um, I never went to find a mentor, but I got a mentor because the mentor found me too, as much as, and it was a journey for me to accept him as a mentor, and uh, he was always there. So all my mentors have come to me, or I have gone to them, and it's a journey that I have taken them as a mentor, because you see results. Mentors help you develop results and get you to where you are. So I think that's a different journey, different talk. But yes, if you really need a mentor, then go for it. If you're doing good, then it's fine. Another thing is helps you keep on track. You have certain deadlines. We say one teacher, one pen, one book can change the world. I would say one mentor will change your life to a more guiding path if you are lost. So, if you ever have that fear and you don't know that books can never mentor you, then at least find the person who you really feel can mentor you to that journey.
Super, super. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rena, for this lovely insight. Would you have any thoughts for people specifically in this time, of crisis and change that all of us are going through? Um, Anything that you would like to talk about to our audience who could, benefit and could help them build their careers?
So, we are in this pandemic and we are talking about being fearless and productive at workplace. Being a posh leader, being into Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act and Prevention of Child Offences Sexual Harassment, and a woman leader. Since I build a lot of people, leaders, women, and also president of Wiki. So I help people in trade, commerce, industry, building them as entrepreneurs at times. I would only give you one thing. Uh, Things are very indecisive at this time. You can only say one thing to your mind is I'm stronger than my fear. And only one voice will come out when there is complete silence. And that's the voice inside you which will tell you that if you can't make it, who can? Okay. So I'm stronger than my fear. And when the whole world is silent, there's only one voice that will come inside which will say, if you can't, then who can? So keep moving, do something, don't stop, and don't worry about what others will think about you. I've always had people who have said, don't worry, start somewhere. I will tell the same to you. Don't worry, start somewhere. All is well.
Yeah, I think that's very motivating, and we all need that nugget of motivation right now. For the news that we hear around us can just
Yes.
make us feel very depressed,
So we have
and that,
lost a lot of friends and family who have been in the extended, and also a lot of people who are clients. And what you're saying, Karuna, is really, really resonating. We There is a lot of pain and depression and a lot of fear. I would say it very coolly that आना है तो आएगा, डट के उसका सामना करना, डट के सामना करोगे तो वो भी भाग जाएगा, क्योंकि जितना अंधेरा हमने देखा है उसके बाद सूरज तो आना ही है, वैसे
आना
ही
ही
है।
है.
तो कभी ना कभी ये भी चढ़ जाएगा और आगे बढ़ जाएंगे हम.
बिल्कुल. Bilkul. This too shall pass very soon. So we've
Absolutely.
hung in around. It is just like the elephant has passed. It's just the tail left. So just be there, hang in there, and keep that strength. I must say, and I'm sure everything is going to be great. So before I end this conversation today, Rena, I would love to get your feedback on this channel, Conversations with Karuna, and we stand for building conscious cultures, careers, and leaders. So, what would your feedback be? Anything that you would love to, talk about and help us improve this show that we have?
So you're just doing amazing. I think I've just watched few of the episodes and they have been amazing, amazing individual freelancers, company owners, lot of coaches, a lot of people who you have taken as leaders who have come here and each of them are highly, highly knowledgeable in their expertise that they share. I find it as a very professional setup and you're doing really great as a HR leader and also as a conscious and entrepreneur. So wish you all the best, Karuna, and more conversations to hear to bring in more people who are motivating,
Sure.
inspiring, bringing their expertise on the table for all the HR conducive leaders that you're catering to. And yes, if you ever feel that you need any of the services, being fearless and productive in workplaces with POSH-POCSO stress and entrepreneurship journey of yours, please do reach out to me and I'm available on all social media.
Absolutely.
And Right to
Absolutely.
Rise and RKT Foundation are our two initiatives. Right to Rise is more on the organizational initiatives and RKT Foundation is on the social initiative. So you can reach out. Thank you.
Super, super. So we'll be sharing some more details about Rena in the chat box after the show. Do feel free to connect with her. If you have any questions, you can write in the comment box as well, and we'll be happy to answer them. We'll be, happy to hear your feedback also. All of those audiences who would be watching it right now, who are watching it right now or later, happy to hear your feedback as well. So would love to, connect with all of you. And before we end, again, I would say just hang in there, be strong. As Rena rightly mentioned, tell yourself continuously that I'm stronger than fear, and if you can't make it, then who can? We've survived all this through. We will survive this going forward as well. So just keep that faith and stay there. Stay happy and stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Rena, for this lovely conversation. I just loved it, and I'm sure our audience is loving it too. Thank you, everyone. And we will
Thank
be
you.
signing off for now, bringing in some more amazing leaders next week. So keep watching and keep sharing your views. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye for now.